what other types of projects or just projects in general benefit the most from email marketing? Projects that, on my screen here, like subscriptions can give perks and content periodically. Projects that have significant updates periodically, like blog posts, and projects that can give discounts or offers periodically. So again, as this one person mentioned in the private message, new episodes, new series, upcoming collaborations, those are like periodic goodies. You can think of it as goodies that you're giving. So the moral of the story here is periodically. You have to be prepared to dedicate time over a long period to doing a newsletter. Remember, I mentioned I suggest doing a newsletter for a whole year. And I would suggest trying with just once a month. Try it just once a month for a whole year. And again, at the end of the year, you can assess if you achieved your goals via your newsletter, or if you maybe want to try a different marketing strategy. Just to give you an idea of timeline a little bit, for me, I did take some time to initially plan what my newsletter shape is going to look like what the shape of a year is going to look like via newsletters. But then once I made that plan, usually only takes me about an hour, maybe 2 hours to actually create the newsletter itself. But something you should also take into account when you're putting your timeline together is how much time you will want to invest in getting email subscribers. So as someone mentioned in the chat, like, how do we get an audience? How do we get email subscribers? That takes a lot of time. And I will come back to that topic in a little bit. So back to what I was saying, goodies. If you don't have goodies periodically, or frequently, I should say, if you don't have some goodies to give to your your readers periodically, frequently, then a monthly newsletter or weekly newsletter might not be the best avenue for you. It's okay though if you just want to do a seasonal newsletter. Like, I think most of us have that one family member who once a year sends us a long newsletter that's basically like a Christmas card of like what the whole year looked like for their kids or whatever. You can definitely do it like that. You could do it once a year. You could do it again with each season. So maybe 4 times a year. That's totally fine. Again, next week, we'll talk a little bit more about the strategies and the goals for your newsletter, and that will help you decide how it can really impact your business, even if you just do it once every 3 months, for example. All that being said, though, think about what are you doing regularly on social media? Like, what are you doing periodically and frequently on social media? Your newsletter could be doing the same content as your social media posts, but in a different format. So like whatever you post on Instagram, you literally could send that out in a newsletter. But if your Instagram followers are the same people who are reading your newsletter, then it's going to feel kind of redundant. Usually they're not exactly the same people, but there's usually enough of overlap to me that, or from my point of view, there's enough of overlap where it doesn't seem like a strong strategy if you're always just doing the exact same thing. So for me, I like to really make sure that they're different. I like to have different content and not only just a different formats, but actual different content. And for me, I never want my audiences to feel bombarded by the same content over and over and over again. So that's why I don't want to post something on Instagram and then email it to people, because they're just going to get annoyed. And then they're less likely to read my newsletter if they know it's just going to be repeating whatever was already on my Instagram. And especially thinking about, like, if I'm only doing a newsletter once a month, whereas maybe I'm doing Instagram like twice a week, which is usually what I try to do, then it definitely doesn't make sense to just be doing the same thing that's on my Instagram.